Federal officials are now warning that China is actively infiltrating every corner of American life, from U.S. airspace and cyber networks to universities, research labs, and local communities. Intelligence sources say Beijing is engaged in widespread espionage and aggressively working to steal proprietary information, advanced technology, and sensitive national security secrets. Joining us this morning to break down what this means for America's security and sovereignty is our very own Washington insider, Armstrong Williams. Good morning to you, sir. Great to see you, as always. So we have seen Chinese surveillance balloons. We've seen cyber intrusions, biolabs we just talked about, illegal drugs smuggled into the U.S. We know this is a coordinated strategy. So what should Americans understand about the CCP's long-term goals and how different is their approach to warfare and influence compared to perhaps maybe like a traditional military conflict?
Well, I think the most glaring indication of this is that we often forget is the fact that Governor Kathy Hochul had one of her top aides, who's a Chinese spy, being paid $3 million. And when you can operate at that level and gain that kind of access and meet security clearance, and they infiltrate your systems, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Another aspect we don't talk about, Jan, is how these consulates in Los Angeles or in San Francisco, when Gene came over, and how they were able to bring these threats in, put them in the hotels, and then put them out to protest, to cause disruption, to attack police. These are the kinds of things we don't see. And the hundreds of thousands that came across the border, they never asked for public assistance from our agencies. Where are they? Who take care of them? Who provide for them? And while they're providing for them, what are the expectations for providing everything across the board for them? Those are the things that we ignore. Where are they now? What are they up to? What are they doing? And we're beginning to see it, as you mentioned, the balloons, what happened in Michigan, what happened recently at the lab in Las Vegas. And just think about Jan, think about this. They knew about this from the raid in California 3 years ago. What took so long to finally close down the lab in Vegas? Are we being paid? Are we being bought off? Is somebody being paid to turn another eye away from this kind of crime and behavior? It's really scary.
Yeah, right. Is there a bigger conspiracy involving some lawmakers? What are the most immediate steps the U.S. should be taking right now, Armstrong, to protect our sovereignty and our intellectual property?
We must ban these Chinese nationals from coming in. We talk about deportation, criminals, and gangs. This is a different kind of crime that's being committed. They should not come on American soil, and we should really go into these different universities and these corporations and make sure that we do a deep dive to investigate just where their loyalty lies. And you will find it's not to the United States of America. And they have to do this, or else they will be punished in their own country. It's their job that they're doing. And their loyalty is to China, not America.
That's right, to the CCP, to your point. At the same time, Armstrong, we see Democrats in Congress resisting stronger border security and national voter ID requirements. How does weak internal security compound the risks posed by foreign adversaries like China?
Can you imagine if we start saying you don't need an ID to go through the airport? You don't need the ID to get into a government building. I mean, it's just really insane. You need a government, you need to show an ID if you're a certain age at a bar. It's just what these Democrats have been able to dumb down and make us believe that they're protecting Latinos and blacks because they're disenfranchised. You need an ID for everything because people can vote and say they're you, and they can vote over and over again. We've got to protect the integrity of our election system, Jen. It's just insane what we've been reduced to believe.
And the majority of Americans agree with you. That's what every poll has shown. Turning to Iran, Armstrong, we've seen mass protests met with these shoot-to-kill orders, reports of tens of thousands now dead. How do you assess the regime that is killing its own people more effectively than any foreign enemy could?
Well, Jan, they've been doing this for the longest. This is nothing new. And our vice president is headed to the region now to try to come up with some kind of agreement on these nuclear arms race with Iran. Iran has announced that they're making progress, but they're also saying there's an imminent threat of war with the United States with this. Aircrafts flying over there, over airspace, Israel being involved. They're telling, even the American embassy has asked all Americans to get out of Iran immediately. What does that tell you?
Yeah, and during the Israel-Gaza war, many activists and Democrats used civilian casualties as a rallying cry, and now many of those same human rights voices are silent as Iran carries out brutality at scale against its own citizens. Armstrong, great to talk to you this morning, as always. Hope you have a great week. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jan.
Report from a watchdog group is raising questions about Chinese students and scientists working at U.S. universities. Let's go to Emma Withrow from the Fact Check team. And Emma, obviously we are talking about thousands of these Chinese students involved in various universities. What did this report say?
So the report that was first reported by Just the News, that comes from a group called the American Accountability Foundation, which is a conservative research group, and they identified 21 Chinese academics currently or recently working at U.S. universities and national labs, and they argue that these individuals could pose a national security risk based on a combination of factors here. They're talking about research areas that these people are focused on, also their prior education, and alleged ties to Chinese government or military-affiliated institutions.
When the report references security risks, what specifically are they talking about? I mean, are officials concerned that what they are learning here in the United States could be then transferred to the Chinese government?
Definitely a concern. They're referring mostly to dual-use research, which is scientific work that has both civilian and potential military applications. So the areas cited include things like AI, quantum technology, advanced materials, also semiconductors, robotics, and viral research. AAF argues, though, that because these fields can be relevant, obviously, to defense, researchers' backgrounds and affiliations, they warrant a little bit of additional scrutiny and screening. But it's important to note that the report doesn't accuse any of the named individuals of espionage or intellectual property theft or any sort of criminal activity. Its argument mostly is just about preventative risk assessments and not necessarily legal findings. And it calls for stronger screening and also oversight rather than any sort of prosecution.
All right, interesting discussion. Emma, thank you.
Thanks.
Emma's going to join us in a few moments to dig deeper into the federal funding at play here. A conservative research group is raising national security concerns about Chinese Communist Party infiltration, they say, in American universities. Let's go to Emma Withrow from the Fact Check team. Tell us more, Emma, about this report, the funding for their research. Where is that all coming from?
So it's coming from the American Accountability Foundation, which was also first reported by Just the News. Some of the Chinese researchers that it's identifying in this report have gotten some U.S. government funding, including grants from agencies like the Department of War, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, also NIH, NSF, the Department of Energy, things like that. So AAF's position is that when federal funds support research with potential military applications, the background of the researchers really does become a national security consideration, not just an academic one.
Well, this has been going on reportedly for years. Why is this suddenly a concern now?
Yeah, this issue's definitely been discussed for years across multiple administrations. Doesn't matter if it's Democrats, Republicans. The House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party stated actually in a 2024 report that the CCP views overseas studies as a strategic tool for acquiring advanced scientific and technical knowledge. The committee also warned that some U.S.-funded research has been conducted in collaboration with Chinese institutions that are tied to China's defense and industrial base. So all interesting things to look at here.
Emma, thank you.
Thanks.
And for more on this Fact Check team topic, including links to Emma's research, just scan the QR code or visit thenationaldesk.com.